Hey there, everyone. Coach Patrick here, Endurance Nation, with another check-in from Unbound Gravel Training Block. Now, those of you who've been following me online know that in the last 2 weeks, things got a little hectic. I'm not talking about my hairdo, which is out of control with this heat training. Heat really does have an effect on your hair, it turns out. Now, when we think about what it means to get ready for a race, most of us think about volume. But if you're inside Endurance Nation, or if you're like me, there's always a little bit extra, some marginal gains, things you can do to make the race better, especially when you can't get all the training in you want. So when you follow someone online, perhaps one of your competitors or a pro or someone that you like admire or want aspire to be like as an athlete, you'll often start comparing numbers. What does their training look like compared to your training? And that's a really bad game to play, right? Because all of a sudden we're talking about things other than volume, right? For someone to be able to put in lots of volume and lots of training means they've made compromises, sacrifices, or decisions relative to other things in their life. So if someone has 20 hours a week to train, it's possible they just stop sleeping. In other cases, it may very well mean that they're part-time employed, or they have the full support of their significant other, or there's other circumstances, like they live in a great place of the country, whereas you do not. So comparing numbers really makes it hard, because for you to match someone else may very well mean just training indoors all the time or suffering. And if you can't compete on hours, which arguably is effective in terms of training using volume, you can compete in other ways, not just being old, wily, and crafty like some of us on this video, but you can also be strategic about how you execute the race and the 1%, 2%, 3% changes you can make to your training. Now, some people will focus on the equipment, and let me tell you, I've done a lot of stuff on my equipment lately, and I'll tell you about that setup in another video. But this time, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about heat training. Now, normally for heat training with me, I've done 2 protocols in the past in my Ironman training. The first, go to a sauna. You find a sketchy YMCA that has an even sketchier sauna that somebody built way back when saunas were just the jam, long before they became cool and way more expensive with like radioactive microwave versions. Okay, I take that back. I'll never get a sponsor if I talk about indoor saunas being radioactive. However, they're very effective, but they're social, and it's hard. You have to do it right after workouts. You get out of the swim, in my case, and get right into the sauna. Not drinking, anything like that for the time you can stand inside the sauna. Build it up from 15 to maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time. Do it a couple times a week. The protocol remains the same for a dose of about 2 weeks, a little bit of recovery, and then a little more heading into your race. And I can link to some of that in the video description so you can see it. Now, another version of that, which is a lot easier, but also complicated, is to do a hot soak, like a hot bath. So you can draw a hot bath. It takes, 30 minutes to fill that tub up. I'm not a tiny person, and my tubs are also not tiny. And then get in the water. Downsides, when I can have my phone inside the sauna, at least until my hands start dripping with sweat, don't really like having my phone in the hot soak. Just doesn't seem good. Maybe some stories ingrained in me about my childhood about how I was going to die from electrocution, which probably won't happen with an iPhone, but regardless, just does not seem safe. So it's a good time to meditate and reflect. And I will say that coming out of a hot soak, you can feel it, like the differential from being in a sauna to a hot soak in hot water, like massive. Like I really only needed to soak for about 15 minutes to get the same equivalent of about 30 minutes from being inside of a sauna. And you got to be careful, because you can come out of that hot soak and just get a little dizzy. So you got to be smart and safe as you go through that process. So now we're on to the third type of protocol. No longer have my Y membership. Not really down with the hot tub thing. I kind of, water waste and stuff like that for just 30 minutes, etc. Just really don't see the gains. Quite honestly, back when I was trying to, get a spot to Kona and compete, it was really sort of a high priority. Now, just getting to the finish line of races like Unbound, yeah, I'll do some stuff, but I'm not going to be wasteful. So what am I doing? I went to Amazon and I went and found myself like a paint suit. I think they're $3 each. I bought a set of 5 or 6. My wife got them, opened them, terrified that something's happening hazmat-wise. I told her we don't need masks anymore for COVID. We're just going to go full bodysuit. That didn't go over so well. But the whole point is this time around doing some heat-based training. So I've got my bike set up in the basement already. For those of you who know, my full setup includes everything from a flat screen TV to a wobble board to the fans and everything. But with heat training, we turn those fans off. I put on this paint suit and I do it after my workout. The key is you do your quality session. So today I'll show you, I did a VO2 session and then lactate shuttle, and then went right into the heat training. So you'll do your quality session, then your heat training. The key about heat training is that it has to be at a low intensity. You have to be consistent with it over time. You still got to do that 2-week dose. But the real piece is you can't go too hard. If you go too hard during heat training, it undermines everything and actually makes you significantly more fatigued. So let's head over to the actual workout for today. We'll take a look at this bad boy. Okay, so here I am in Strava, did my heat workout with Coco. This time I did it with Coco. I did it with Maria in the past. So this was an hour, about 204 here, about the same because it's all flat for the normalized power. 750 calories, about 0.6 here on the IF, which is fine. I was going to round that bad boy up. Did some time there on Coco, on the TikTok. So here we go. Let's go into the analysis here and take a look. And this ultimately is what we're looking for here, which is this increase over time. So yes, I did here in the second half rejoin Coco after I had fallen off. And in that time frame here, I was averaging 215 and my heart rate was average 122, but went up to 136. What you can really see here is in this last bit here, let's put this up here, of the hour, last 15, 10 minutes, things really started to heat up for me. And each time I've been going through and doing a little bit of a diary here on the heat training. And you can see I get in and I get settled, and then it starts to build up over time. You can also notice that the RPMs drop as well. I find as the fatigue sets in for me, the consequences of it are real. Like the sweat's piling up inside the paint suit, but also I'm really starting, like the breathing becomes labored, and I'm starting to struggle turning the pedals. And to me, that's a consequence of just getting into the heat. It's a sign of what it means for us to be sort of getting into a place where we're saying, oh, I'm starting to feel the effects of the heat. What does that mean for my body? What does it mean for my fitness? The whole point of the heat training is to increase your plasma volume so you can deal not only with cooling your body by bringing blood to the surface, and let me tell you, I got a lot of surface area for blood to get to, and also keep the blood going to the muscles for the load that you're trying to have. Maintain on race day. When your body has to decide you don't have enough or you don't have sufficient plasma, all of a sudden you start to see a compromise. We see that massive decoupling where you're unable to cool anymore, power drops dramatically, and the heart rate skyrockets, like literally like a rocket shooting off into space, and your race is tanked until you slow down and cool off. The whole point of this race is that I'm hoping not to do that aside from strategic aid stations or perhaps the mid-race creek dunk. I don't even know if those creeks are safe to get into or stop and sit in. We'll find out. I may have to go full RFK mode there just to keep myself cool, but we'll see. Either way, just leaving it to you to think a little bit about how you prepare for races and how you can think of things like heat training to make the most. For me, this is a 2-week protocol heading into the race. Very simple, very straightforward to do. Of course, I do have the benefit of a basement where I can hang this suit to dry off between. And let me tell you, not sure how long it's going to take for that one to dry. But I've learned over time by racing in Kona and other hot situations like Texas and other conditions like hot races, hot marathons, that dealing with the heat is my number one priority. If I want to stay fast, it's about not slowing down, and not slowing down means managing my heat. Thanks, folks. See you later.